Here we go. Tomas Martinez, how you
Yes,
doing, my
sir.
friend? Dude, I've been like in the presence of royalty here, I think, for some reason.
Brother, I'm blessed. I'm super excited to be
You
here.
look good, man.
Thank
you. Look
you.
good. Yeah, it's been a bit since we've chatted. So how you doing?
Yes. I think we saw each other during COVID at HEB. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
we
yeah.
ended up seeing each other at
That's
HEB.
right, dude.
And I think that may be the last time I saw you. That's how long it's been.
When did I do the publication, though? It was around that
It was
time. no?
I thought it was before that.
yeah.
It was right at that time when we
Yes,
were starting
yes.
COVID.
That's
It was right at that
Yeah.
time. And then we kind of went into that whole
Yeah.
weird
Kind of threw a little
time frame.
curveball into
Yeah.
everything. So have you been able
Yeah.
to navigate through that?
You know, we were blessed during the COVID. You know, I got my team together once it happened, and I explained to everybody. I said, "Listen, you know, I don't know where this is going to go, but we've got enough money to pay everybody. Everybody's going to be. We're not going to go anywhere." I said, "But we really need to go deep with our clients." Let's go deep. Let's not go wide. Let's go really deep and let's check on everybody. Let's call every single person that's in our magazine and let them know how we're going to respond. And that's what we did. And the next year we went up in revenue. The next year we went up in revenue.
That's awesome.
2022 was better than 2021.
Yeah.
And then 2023 was better than 2022. And right now,
2024?
and right now 2024 is on pace to be 2023.
That's awesome,
which
man.
is it's a blessing.
Yeah, I think it's actually very much because a lot of in our industry anyway, a lot of the trend is kind of dipped, you know, from 23 to 24. I know we're down. It's like people ask me if we're busy. We're busy, but it's just there's not as much of those big jobs as there was in, you know, earlier years. Because every year since I've been in business, I've always kind of just had a upwards trajectory, little by little. You know, it's kind of, and for me, that's all I go. I don't want to get too big too fast, but you know, this past couple of years has been a little different market.
Yeah, it's a different market. It definitely is a different market for sure. That's for sure.
But you've had your magazine publication for how long?
So this year we celebrated 13 years. This
That's
issue
awesome,
is
bro.
13 years, dude. Isn't that
awesome.
crazy? 13 years.
And then you just got into Austin.
Austin is 11 years. Yeah, I've been in Austin 11 years now.
Wow,
yeah,
dude,
we started that one in 2013.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how's the market over there?
Austin is a
little
different
different.
animal.
Yeah.
It's a different animal. I was explaining, I have two new salespeople, and I was trying to explain to them just the difference between San Antonio and Austin. It's doing business in Austin is very different. It's like I got to put on a spacesuit. It's a different environment, okay? It's like I'm going to another galaxy.
Yeah.
It's just different, you know. The Austin is the luxury market has really struggled a little bit in Austin, I'd say. But overall, we've been able to maintain and do really well, and kind of keep the magazine's doing great. But the market has really had a tough time. Why? It went up too fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some areas of Austin at $1,300 a square foot.
Wow, that's
Think
crazy.
about that.
That's crazy.
That's Malibu pricing. You know what I mean? That's LA pricing. So because of that, I think you've seen a little bit of, that prices have come down and people are a little bit, hey, do I want to spend that right now? Do I want to wait? Obviously, the election too. You know how that all plays out.
This time of year.
But I think overall, Austin is down. San Antonio is kind of steady.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think it's totally down per se. I think our luxury numbers are doing okay.
But I'd be good with
compared
that.
to
Like
last
the
year.
slow and steady. With San Antonio's a good market. I mean, we have the benefit of the military bases, which always kind of keeps the market somewhat busy, but as far as the luxury side of it, you know, maybe there's not as much of an influx as there was, but it's still there.
It's still there and it's selling. I mean, we've got, $2 million properties selling, $3 million properties selling. It's and then the $1 million to 1.999 is a strong market in San Antonio. I mean, we've had over 300 homes sell in that price point already. In that 1 million to 1.999.
So I guess Austin would be the biggest market, and then Dallas, Houston.
Actually, it's Dallas. I'm actually doing a class about this today. So it's Dallas, then Houston, then Austin. Now, at one point, Austin was right there with them, but last year they took the biggest hit. Austin lost $1.8 billion in real estate sales.
The value. value or sales?
Sales, total amount of sales
compared to the year before?
1.8 billion compared to the year before.
Wow.
Lost. San Antonio was like 180 million down in comparison. If you do 2022 and 2023, there's a huge report that comes out every year, and Austin was down 1.8 billion in the luxury market. That's a big switch up, from 22 to 23.
Yeah.
And this year, I think it's going to level out because some of that luxury has started to sell and do better. And it's just slow for Austin.
Yeah.
They've been on this rocket ship.
Yeah, it's meteoric.
Like 2017, Austin had $800 million home sale in 2017. 800 units, okay? They're now over 2,600 units. Wow. Just to give you a comparison. Yeah. And then last year, in 2022, they sold 3,400, somewhere around there, units. That were over a million.
Wow. What's San Antonio's numbers, do you know?
You ready?
Yeah.
San Antonio's numbers, last year, $622 million homes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how many we sell last year. So, are we on that same rocket ship as Austin? No. But in comparison to when I started Luxury Realm Magazine, we're doing 77 to 100 homes over a million.
So how's it changed from day one to now? How have you evolved in your marketing, your publishing, and
the
your
business? Yeah. So day one, it was an education. It was like San Antonio does have a luxury market. In the beginning, a lot of people didn't really feel like we had a luxury market.
So that was your goal, to kind of just showcase.
Yeah, just like we do have luxury here. And it's not just a Dominion, because everybody's like, everybody's like, oh, it's a Dominion. It's where all the Spurs are. No. There's other luxury locations, It's not just Alamo Heights, right? So it was an education to help agents really understand that there is a luxury market here, and we've got to showcase it. We've got to put it in front of people. The interesting thing is the luxury market in San Antonio, the luxury market in Austin, they're different planets, right? Austin is way higher in luxury, but my magazine is bigger in San Antonio. I have a 112-page magazine in San Antonio, 80-page magazine in Austin.
Is it 112?
Yeah. San Antonio's 112. Yeah, our last issue was just 112.
Yeah. Wasn't that many pages when I was on there?
We were in that. Let's say that was 2020. I bet you we were in the hundreds.
Okay.
Right around 100.
I guess so. I mean, it's
4.
They're nice publications, man. They're really good.
We just changed the paper, so you need to check it out. Yeah, you need to see the most recent.
And
one.
most of that was catered to partner with real estate agents to kind of help propel them.
It's a little bit of both. It's companies like yours that want to get in front of the wealthiest. Residences, right? Because we direct mail, that magazine is put in the mailboxes of 17,000 homes in San Antonio. So I'm direct mailing that every issue 6 times a year, 24,000 total copies. So the rest of the magazines, the 7,000, are hand distributed. Luxury car dealerships, private airports. We really want the magazine to be seen by people that could afford to buy the houses, or buy products like the wood floors that I put in my house that you did that we loved. I mean, those were freaking amazing floors.
Thank you.
And you guys did an incredible job.
Thank you so much.
That job to be able to. I remember you told me we're gonna move the furniture too, and I was like, how are y'all gonna do furniture? Like, how is this even possible?
It's funny. These guys are so used to it, man. It's something that's just natural to them. You go to a house. I was looking at one yesterday. It was like, the house was just full of stuff, and the people were overwhelmed too. They're like, "Hey, well, how are we gonna manage this? Do we need to move this? Like, we can help. Just whatever it takes. If it takes 2 people to move, we'll move it. That's kind of our rule of thumb." They're like, okay, but I've seen it time and again. I'll go do a job site visit, and man, my guys are just knocking it out. And sometimes they're furniture movers more than they are floor installers, because they have to break apart beds and all that. But at the end of the day, it's a chore, but the most satisfying thing is once everything's done, they got their furniture back on their new floor, and people are like, "Oh my god!"
And you love it.
Yeah.
So the best part of that story is we had a bunk bed. Enzo had a bunk bed in his room, and it was this Restoration Hardware bunk bed, super heavy, crazy, and I remember going, they were in that room, and I was like, I don't even know how they're going to get the carpet out from under it. They had the carpet out in like, I don't know, like 30 minutes. It was done. And I was like, what the heck? How did they do that? The next thing you know, they're sliding the bed from one way, sliding the bed the other way, and the flooring's done. And we just, it was impressive. Your team is impressive.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
They know what they're doing.
I appreciate it.
They know what they're doing.
Well, I had a lot of good success and feedback being on your magazine as well, because I think to your point, it does. And we cater to all demographics, but you know, I was telling Courtney that was just here actually that part of my so going back to like we're busy right now. Yeah. A lot of what I've been marketing to this first part of the year is like realtors, and realtors are good because they'll keep you busy. And maybe you'll replace a carpet, you know, in a house, maybe $2,000. Yeah. Maybe you do 10 of those, whatever. But the big ticket items are that builder that's going to give you a $50,000, you know, flooring order. Yep. So you got one job here, 10 jobs here. Yep. You know, and the numbers don't add up. So this part is where I need to kind of get back to marketing, rebrand. My wife tells me all the time, it's like, there's a lot, and I work with a lot of builders too, but there's so many builders out there that we haven't even, you know, tapped into or don't even know that we exist, you know? And I don't know if I told you I started an online store also. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about that. That's right. So that's kind of it's just kicked off naturally, organically. Without me even really pushing it, but that's more kind of selling regionally or kind of across, you know and that's states. Direct to consumer, direct to builder, consumer, to the house, to the residence. Yeah. So the homeowner could literally order it from there and then get it installed. Yeah, it's a whole different website, and they go and they find a product, and we just ship it to them. And it's funny because like you know, there's a on the internet you can sell anything literally. Most people think, oh, I'll buy a shirt or a TV or something, get it shipped to the house. But whenever this whole thing about selling floors online, it's not new. It's been done before. Oh, yeah. But I remember the first couple of jobs I got, I was like, oh, shit, actually just literally just send it directly to a customer. Don't even touch it. Now, like, you know, it's more of a wholesale price, but you know, it's a win-win. Homeowner saves money. You know, I make a little money, and and then you got some builders that started ordering. I had one in Nashville that ordered like close to $45,000 worth of wood. Sent 4 pallets of flooring. That's amazing. They didn't touch it. That's amazing. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I need to start doing more of that. Yeah. Then, sure. But the thing is that the difference is it's two different dynamics, two different businesses, but. The point is there's people out there and customers out, especially in our market, builders, high-end builders that I need to kind of expose myself to more, for lack of a better term. And your magazine definitely helped me do that back in 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So we need to entertain that again. Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually going to be launching a home improvement guide. Oh, okay. A special section in the magazine that I really think is going to give our readers an opportunity of like a go-to space of like, oh, here's flooring. Oh, here is like a resource. It's a resource guide where they can find people to help them do the things around their house, whether it be an electrician, whether it be a deck person or flooring, AC whatever the case you mean. Yeah, AC. But everybody needs those go-to resources. I was like, you know, why don't we do that? And we have another magazine that's already started doing it in Palm Beaches in Florida, and it's been a big success there. Well, you have another publication over there? Well, I don't own it, but gotcha. Our magazine is national. I don't know if you know that, but Luxury Home Magazine is national publication. Okay. So it's in cities all over the U.S. Gotcha. So we have 16 other cities all across the U.S. that have Luxury Home magazines. So is it like is this like a franchise? It's a franchise, okay, so then you own the San Antonio, it's called a distributorship. Austin. Yep. Gotcha. It's a distribution, distributorship. So I have the right to distribute it in Austin and in San Antonio. Gotcha. Yeah. And next wave is Houston. So my goal is I want 3 magazines over 140 pages. That's awesome. That is the goal that I write down every morning and every night. I want 3 magazines at 140 pages. That's awesome. So Houston is the next frontier. There is no Luxury Home magazine in Houston. Think about that. Have you been kind of researching over there and kind of visiting and chatting with people? We almost launched it probably 6 years ago. We were on the verge of doing it, but it wasn't time. Now we've got processes and training in place where I feel really strongly that we should be able to launch it in the next 6 months to a year. So you'll have like a sales guy down there? Have a salesperson in Houston, yep. Nice, we'll find one, or we'll have our current team sell, because we're training some really strong salespeople now. Awesome, and we'll be able to have them sell into Houston, and then we'll just have some people help us with as far as the distribution goes. But
Yeah, Houston would be a massive market. People call me all the time about Houston.
Yeah, I heard you say your wife's helping you out now too.
Oh yeah, she's been a critical piece to the start of the magazine. You know, when we originally were looking at the franchise, this was my wife's idea.
Really?
Yeah, this was all Christina's idea.
Nice.
And it just ended up that I was the one that kind of took the mantle to sell it. And it was perfect timing. Everything kind of came together. I was an educational consultant traveling and teaching teachers at the time. And it just worked out to where my contract was ending and I could kind of step out and do the sales. And we launched Luxury Home Magazine in 2011.
Was this kind of natural transition for you though,
from teaching?
Well, because did you have an entrepreneur kind of mindset back then?
Zero.
Now you're getting into the business world.
Yeah, it was zero. I was a teacher.
You're still teaching kind of sales but there's a lot that goes into the business model, right? Building the systems or the hiring the right people, the process.
Here's the funny part, Richard. Like for me, I was one of those guys that read every business book that came out, but I was a dude that's like, I'll never be an entrepreneur. I read them all. I loved them. I loved the book. I loved the idea of it, but I was so in this mindset and frame of mind of like, that's for these people, but I want to be a better leader. So I'm going to read these books to be a better leader, even though all those books were teaching me about being an entrepreneur. You know, from John Maxwell, you know, the 21 characteristics of a leader, right? The 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, and then the 15 laws of growth. All these books I was absorbing, but I didn't realize what they were giving me was the backbone of the sales and the systems. They were kind of subconsciously going in there, but I was using it for teaching. I was using it for leadership and education and training. But little by little, you know, God has a plan.
That's right.
And he puts the books in front of you to guide you to where, hey, this is the fit. And then boom, Luxury Home Magazine shows up. Man. But I had no sales experience. And think about this. I tell this to people. I was walking in to the top real estate agents' offices. I was fresh out of teaching, and I was walking in there saying, you need to advertise with Luxury Home Magazine.
They were like, who's this guy?
I was like, who are you? Who are you? I was like, I'm a realtor. I'm coming out of the real estate world, and I'm starting this magazine, and you need to be in it. And everybody was just like, well, luxury, San Antonio's not luxury. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it was such a foreign concept to think about. It's kind of a hard sell
on the front end, yeah.
Oh, man, it was, listen, the Les Brown quote, let no be your vitamins, that was my mantra. Every time I heard no, I was like, okay, I got more vitamins today. I got my vitamins.
Got a lot of vitamins.
I got a lot of vitamins, brother. Like, that beginning part of starting Luxury Home Magazine was, I mean, I remember when the magazine showed up, the very first issue, it showed up in my garage. Because I didn't even have, my office was my house. So that first pallet, there's 2 pallets that show up. I remember opening it and just weeping. Wow. Just going, I can't believe we produced that.
We're doing this,
You know what I mean? And then we do it over and over. And so now I don't even know, I've lost track. I think we're at 70, 80 magazines, something like that we've printed over the last. That's awesome. And anyways, it's good.
It's good to hear those journeys those journeys when you first start off. I think for me, I like the origin stories. I like, knowing how people got into it, what it motivated them, what inspired them, and then what keeps them doing it too. Because sometimes people get into business and then they realize it wasn't for them.
It's hard.
Or maybe it's hard.
Yeah,
that's the other part. Because if you're not, if you're not wired to fail, then it's not going to help you get into business, because then you're not going to want to take those risks. And I've said it before, but sometimes those failures push you forward, man, and you learn from them. Make you better, and that's part of being that entrepreneur, and just knowing that if you're on the right path is the biggest thing too. Is like questioning, is like, hey, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? But it sounds like you are. So,
well, you mentioned the failure, right? One of the biggest books that I read was Failing Forward by John Maxwell, and the entire book is about all of these people that literally failed their way to success. From the Wright brothers talking about their journey, and so when you think about business, like. It's not like, that, have you seen that thing where people think the success is here?
It's the tip of the, or that little tip of the iceberg.
Right, it's like there.
They don't see everything.
They don't see what you did. They don't see the sleepless nights. Like the first probably 4 years of Luxury Home Magazine, my wife and I were working all day, all night, all morning, into the night, 1, 3, 2, 4 in the morning, like just to get it off the ground to feel like this is a business. You know what I mean? So and here we are today. We have we're going to 8 employees, which is amazing. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
And we're in growth mode. Like it's time to grow.
Yeah.
It's
you
time
always
to grow.
have to be in that mindset too, though, right? Like
you do, but I'll just be very transparent. I think it's very important for business owners is there can be a point where you could feel like, well, I'm comfortable. You're making a certain amount of money. You're comfortable. And I don't know if you've ever felt that.
Yeah, it's that complacency we talk about.
Yes. And there was a point where I was just like, man, I really like playing golf.
Yeah.
I really like just kind of like my day, my calendar empty. Yeah. I got really comfortable, especially with, COVID kind of wiped our calendars clean for a while there, And so over the last 3 months, we've been doing some training with Grant Cardone, and it is opening my mind to like, look, success is my duty and it's my obligation. Like, if I truly want to bring the success for my family, then I've got to be all in and be all about growing my business and not just in the state of complacency. So that's what we're learning right now with Grant Cardone. It's kicking my butt and I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think having those mentors help, right? Kind of learning from those people that have been there, done that, been successful, and then kind of pushing you too, because I think complacency is just my biggest weakness sometimes too. Yeah, maybe not the biggest, but you do get comfortable because I do golf a lot. And it's funny though, COVID kind of it's interesting because I don't know how I'm sure it affected you obviously, but because now we're kind of just twiddling our thumbs, figuring out how are we going to pivot, how are we going to change, which is why it ended up becoming a blessing for me to start the online store. But that's where you can take advantage of those kind of downturns or those setbacks and find a way to propel yourself forward or pivot, tweak it, how you're going to do things differently, because you always have to learn how to adjust and change and adapt. And, but the challenge for me sometimes is, because it's funny, you mentioned books. I just started kind of getting into the books more recently in the past few months. And it's so important to kind of just, even if it's learning little tidbits, because everything sometimes that you do just because that's how you know how to do it. But there's always ways to do it better. Oh, yeah. And then it's important to read, those books or surround yourself with other people that can give you that advice and say, look, how about this or that?
100%.
And if you want to grow, that's the challenge too, because that's the question. And some people are happy just where they're at, and that's fine too. But, I think there's a lot of opportunity in our market still, in our industry.
Huge.
And there's no reason why to pull the foot off the gas pedal.
No.
Might as well keep pushing forward.
You might, we have to, right? Because
nothing's guaranteed, man. That's the thing. It's like, you mentioned the election cycle. There's all these unknowns, right? Yes. And then just, if anything, COVID taught us that. It's like, let's just kind of, while God is giving me the opportunity to get up every day, might as well just go ahead and seize the day. And might as well just basically go out there, kick some ass, and then rinse and repeat, do it again the next day. Because the alternative is, again, going back to the complacency. You just sit back, and then all of a sudden you get a curveball, and then like, oh shit, what do I do now?
What do we do now? Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that you tweaked or pivoted during COVID?
Well, I would, during COVID, like I said, we went deeper with our clients. We really started like, instead of like, okay, we're going to really try to go wide and like, let's try to get a bunch of advertisers. No. Let's go deep and really make sure our clients feel like they're appreciated. So we did that. Recently, though, we've made a massive shift in our business. We do an 8:45 huddle, all team meeting every single day at 8:45.
Nice. Okay.
This meeting has revolutionized our culture. It's revolutionized our outlook. I mean, it's a absolute game changer for us because in that meeting, it's all wins. For 15 minutes, there's nothing that we discuss, but it's wins. But think about it. If you don't have a win to share, it's accountability because you don't want to go to that meeting with no wins.
Yeah.
And we do it every single day.
Wow.
So it's metrics based. How many calls, how many appointments, how much in proposals, like what conversations have you had? It is all metrics based to point us in the direction of accountability.
Yeah.
And it's only 15 minutes. It goes like this. I didn't think it was possible to do a 15-minute meeting. Yeah. I'm a talker, as you could tell. Okay, I want to tell stories. There's no storytelling. It's your numbers. Move on. Next production. Next this. Every salesperson sharing their stats, and then the next 15 minutes is role play. We role play every single day.
Okay.
Game changer.
Yeah. Explain that process.
So we have what we call a framework of greetings when we call people. And so we have like 10 different greetings of how we could call somebody. Then we have what objections could we get in that greeting. Then we have what we call transitions. It's, okay, I've gotten an objection, but now I want to transition them to try to set an appointment. So we have this framework that every day we spin the wheel. We have a little wheel digitally that we spin, and we practice this idea of calling somebody, getting an appointment, and what that feels like.
Wow.
In the beginning, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was really difficult. And we had some seasoned salespeople that were like, this is hard. It's not fun. I remember our old meetings. We would talk for an hour, Richard.
About nothing.
Hour and a half about nothing. You know what I mean? We didn't get anywhere. We didn't move the ball forward, right? An hour and a half. And then we were kind of then you start your day off now we have 15 minutes all team meeting of wins, 15 minutes of role play. That 30 minutes is so power packed that everybody walks out of there let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
where'd you learn this from?
I learned this from 10X, from Grant Cardone's team, and 360. I leave tomorrow morning to go to Miami, and I'm doing the full training for 10X 360, which is a platform to basically get your business from wherever you're at to the next break points, and they have different break points. They say million is one of those. 3 million, 5 million in revenue. And that at every break point, you've got to build systems.
Yeah, because you can only do so much.
To duplicate yourself. Yeah. And what I realized is that I've forever thought, well, I'm the sales guy. I got to be the sales guy. But the reality is I've got to duplicate myself and make more of me, and then train that team and hold that team accountable. And that's what I've been learning over the last 6 months. It's been phenomenal.
Awesome, it's funny because those little wins are so important. I think if we have a daily win, you just have the 1% rule. However, there's all these different benefits to just having a little win. Yeah. And then the accountability for me is important too, because that's what's going to help us. Even if it's little steps, that's how we can all grow together. I do a power team meeting every couple of weeks with a lot of my trades. Counterparts. Yeah. It's about 8-10 of us on average, but the first part of our meeting, we go around the table talking about each other's wins. Yeah. Within the past couple of weeks. But because it's cool to share testimony about, hey man, I really had a, successful, contract with this one customer or whatever. And it could be personal too, like business or personal. So we just share what that big win is. And then we talk about, okay, what's a lesson learned? What's something that we need help with, or a challenge where we're there to help each other out for that short session. And then the third part of our roundtable discussion is okay, what's our commitment from here to the next meeting? Love it. Which is my favorite part of it, because that's the part that's going to help push each other forward. So my commitment could be you know what, something simple hey, I'm going to try to connect you with this customer that needs a plumber, or maybe try to shout you out on social media, or maybe little subtle things where we're all trying to help each other kind of move the ball forward. But it's doing it, number one, having those meetings, or having those partners, or having those conversations, being a part of something like that is so important if you want to grow, and then help each other grow. Because I think it's so much more powerful when you have a team, of like-minded people, different trades, different industry, whatever, but of just kind of wanting to help each other. 100%. And if it's a step at a time, man, one step at a time. 13 years ago, you don't know if you envision yourself being to where you're at today, but you can't get to where you're at today if you don't take those steps every day, man. And,
no, for sure.
But that's cool how you're doing that. That's actually something that probably I need to start implementing with my small team. But
how many people do you have on your team?
Well, it's mostly my installers right now.
Yeah.
So I think you knew John and Carolyn. So I've kind of downsized, not intentionally, but it's just people kind of went their certain ways. But we're regrouping, and my wife's and my son's helping me right now too. Yeah. But we're gonna look to, especially since he's gonna go back to school, hire a couple people.
Excellent.
Already, but because I have the same problem.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the only sales guy, which I am basically.
Yeah.
And the scaling part's always been my challenge. It's always been my challenge. But to your point, to get you can only do so much.
Yep.
I've seen what that looks like. Mm-hmm. There's ways that maybe I can do a little more, but I have to just duplicate myself as best I can. You don't want to do it 100%, 100% you, because sometimes those people tend to go off and do their own thing. But I've even heard 85% of you is just as good too.
It's just as good.
Yeah. So
100%. Yeah.
Need to kind of just kind of dig back into maybe even going to some of those leadership conferences.
Yes.
And stuff.
Let me tell you this 10X deal. Look, Grant Cardone, I don't know if you're familiar with Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Okay. So not everybody's cup of tea, right? Mm-hmm. Like Grant Cardone is intense, but I will say this, the programming and the type of training that they're doing with Brandon Dawson and his wife, Natalie, she wrote a book, Start the Work. I mean, my wife she is revolutionizing everything that we do, from systems to hiring, how to hire. We now have systems in place for all of that to literally lock us in, and the training, because it's like, it's one thing to hire somebody, but now how do we fully onboard somebody? Right. And now you've got to have those systems. My wife is learning all of this. It's phenomenal. It's now. The investment that we've made in training this year has been substantial. Like, we've probably spent close to $40,000 in training. Now, what's the ROI of that? It's going to be really high, right? Like, the ROI, if you put in $40,000 in training and you start training your people with that, and we have a full-time sales coach that meets with us weekly, and it meets with my entire team, and everybody sells. That's the other thing. Even your installers are sales. Even my designer is sales. So everybody's a part of that meeting. Why? Because any interaction with a client is an opportunity to sell. And they need to be trained on those tactics and skill set and all of that. So you got to invest the money. Like, to me, it's like, every penny has been worth it so far. Nice. Every penny.
Yeah. And you'll get that ROI easily.
Sure. I've already gotten the ROI. Yeah. Like, I already see it. Like, I invested in, I don't know if you've ever heard of Phone Burner. So we have a dialer. So we can call a lot of people. We could call, 100 people in like an hour and a half. Wow. And with Phone Burner, right? And so I'm going to have 4 salespeople full time on dialers, calling and making phone calls, helping and educating people with what we do, right? And so that investment was almost $8,000 of an investment just for the dialer. In the first magazine issue that we did, which was last issue, I know that I've already paid for the dialer in the first issue. Yeah. We sold enough pages from the Phone Burner app, from that dialer, to already offset the cost of the Phone Burner. Yeah. So everything from here on out is
it's gravy.
It's gravy. You know what I mean? And then, not to mention just the training and everything that we're doing as well. So it's phenomenal. Invest in your people. I think that was probably the biggest mistake, is I thought I could be the one to do all of that. I'm going to pour into them. I know I've read all the books. Let me coach them. I'm a John Maxwell certified coach. The reality is yes, I could do that, and I can sprinkle some of that in. But if I don't get any outside people pouring into me and getting it, then it's going to be difficult.
Have you scaled back on the coaching, or you still do some of that?
I still do it. Yeah. I still do it. And I'm about to launch a mastermind. Okay. It's going to be a mastermind for the real estate community and for business community as well. Nice. The way I envision the mastermind is we meet on a weekly basis to really go over what is going to help your business. From the real estate aspect, what are those pieces that are going to help grow your business? accountability, holding each other accountable, and understanding all the parts and pieces that you need. And so that mastermind is going to be an opportunity for business owners to jump in, to also be in the mix with other real estate professionals, other business professionals, to grow.
That's awesome, man.
And I'm looking forward to it. I've done it in the past. We've always typically done it on a book where we mastermind a book that we'll read. This will be a little bit different. This is going to be some intense, everything that I'm learning from 10X, from Grant Cardone.
Picking up some of that,
oh my gosh. With what I've already learned, we haven't even gone to the big one, which starts on Thursday this week. Yeah. With everything we've learned, we're going to be able to bring some serious value to the community on how to grow their business.
That's awesome, man. And you have a podcast?
I got to get it started again. You know,
you haven't done it in a while?
I haven't done it in a while. I think it's been a while. I think I did a couple at the beginning of the year, so I need to get it going back again. Yeah. I love doing. I mean, this is so much fun.
It's fun, man. It's fun. I don't have a big expectation other than whoever needs to hear it can hear it and get encouraged by it. Yeah. That's even if it's just one person. And I've already gotten some feedback because it's only just been doing it a few months. But because there's no right or wrong way to do it. I guess there's so many freaking podcasts out there, man. All these different styles and flavors out there. Yeah. I've even had I'll share it sometimes with my dad or some friends, and some people say, "Oh, they're too long, they're too short, or maybe this or that." And it's like you never know. It's that balance, right? It's just
it's a conversation.
The biggest goal is just for me is just to highlight people that are sitting in front of me and just kind of learning from them more than anything, because that's the biggest thing. So much to learn again as an entrepreneur, a business owner, as many years as I've been doing it.
Yeah. How long has it been now?
So on my own. 17, but I've been in the industry for 30 years. I technically started at 20 years old. Okay. And that's when my uncle and I started a business back then. Yeah. And it's just been doing the same thing ever since, man. Awesome. It's just kind of evolve and learn. I love it, though, because I'm always working with different personalities, different people, and then just being able to kind of just really meet people and getting out there and just you're helping them realize their dreams with their remodels or flooring. It's kind of quirky, but it's kind of cool at the end of the day. Yeah. And then here lately, just kind of getting, especially like platforms like Google, where you get the reviews and all that, but getting people to really just say, "Man, I'm so excited about what you did. Thank you so much." And your guys, and because I always say we're only as good as our guys, but most of the time they're like, "Man, you guys did a great job." Yep. And so getting people to put that feedback on those platforms is really satisfying, also because that's really kind of what you need to depend on too. Is that's the benefit of social media, and there's a lot of drawbacks, but in business, because if you don't treat a customer right, man, they're gonna blast you 10 ways from Sunday, or however they say that. But it's just it's a benefit now, and that's something that we're real proud of now, because we're actually almost at 200 5-star ratings, and it's unheard of, for as long as we've been doing this. But that platform here, we're trying to build up more. Yeah, because it used to be more like handwritten notes. Hey, thank you so much. Here's the reference. And I had a customer call me the other day and said, "Well, I want to get some references." I was like, "Yeah, have you gone to the Google?" Like, no, but I want to actually call people. I was like, "Oh, no problem." Yeah. Can you give me some numbers from customers that you did maybe over a year ago? Yeah. Like, yeah. So I just went back and gave him some numbers, and then the next day he shows up. Hey, we're ready to proceed with you. We got a hold of those clients, and they were all super excited about what you did. I was like, "Oh, thank you." Smart. Yeah, but it's interesting because that's obviously in any industry. It's just having people rely on that feedback to make sure that you're doing a good job, because it's a big investment, man. Yeah. Well, what's the biggest drawback or challenge you've had with your magazine? Do you have any issues with maybe having people having false expectations? Maybe people that advertise with you and say, "Hey, man, I'm not getting my ROI." Yeah. Do you have any of that? I think I think the one thing is people. I think people think advertising is almost like the magic. It's like the magic pill that's going to solve all their woes, right? Like when you start marketing, or you put an ad somewhere that you think, okay, the phones are going to magically start ringing 24/7 now, right? Yeah. And the reality is advertising is being consistent and persistent. It's really being in front as much as possible. Right. There's a sales statistic that says it takes anywhere from
5 to 12 contacts before you can actually sell something. And that's in the phone industry, right? Well, imagine how many times it takes somebody to see your ad or see something to where they immediately make the connection, or they're in the position where they're talking about flooring, right? Where they're like thinking about, oh man, like I would really like to change my floors. And then they open up the ad and they see an ad in a publication, right? So timing is part of it. And so what I like to share with people is like expectations are, number one, if you were to be in front of 17,000 of the most affluent people in the city of San Antonio, right? What would it cost you to get to mail out your own flyer to 17,000 houses, right? And most people do the math on that. You're thinking maybe $1.50 a piece. On a flyer, on a postcard, depending on what size, and then you got to pay for the mail. So you $17,000. Let's say if you got it under maybe $16,000 for one postcard to get into a mailbox. Well, Luxury Home Magazine can do that at a fraction of that cost, and you're in front of all of those residences. Plus, you're in a network of other agents, of other builders, of other people. So when we have our events, you get to see everybody. You get to handshake. Oh, I'm in the magazine too. So we really create a network. Yeah. It's an exclusive club of network of advertisers. And so I think the biggest issue lately has been the market has been a tad slow, right? And so people are kind of like, oh, I don't know if I should. I should wait to market. Right. I should maybe. That's
the one thing you don't want to scale back on, right?
It's like, but think about it. Yeah. What are we waiting for, right? Are we waiting for a better time? Because really, if you think about it, you know, stopping your marketing is like trying to stop time, right? Like we can't stop time. So you should never stop your marketing. You should consistently be in front of people, especially a targeted audience, right? Be where you know people are going to see you and get the ROI that's going to be indicative of the type of price tag that you want to sell, right? So you're not. I mean, you're probably not going to want to be in something that is just a free magazine, right. Somewhere that it's just
a different demographic.
It's a different demographic, right? So you want to be in the right audience. So I think that probably the biggest thing lately has been the market has been a little slow, right? And so people are a little hesitant. What we've said is, you know, with Luxury Home Magazine, one of the big pieces is that we not only are print, but we're online. Digital. We're digital. Yep. So we have all our social media. We have, awesome. You know, the online website, luxuryhomemagazine.com. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help people. And we're now doing digital components to helping people when it comes to SEM. If people are doing search engine optimization, if people are SEO, if people are doing pay-per-click, we actually have a service where we could go in and help them really fine-tune and target with a digital component. And then we have something that you would really like. It's called Lead Flow. Lead Flow is basically a way, think of it as your sales assistant. People scan a QR code from an ad, they scan something from a sign, and from there, a digital sales assistant sells your company. And they interact with this client. Gotcha. The client thinks they're talking to a real person, and they are talking to a real person. It's just that real person is all trained by AI.
That's crazy.
And it's an AI conversation that is led by your questions on what you want to ask the client.
It funnels that customer,
and it funnels them all the way down to signing up for scheduling an appointment with Calendly. Wow, that's awesome. It's super slick. We already have it in Luxury Home Magazine. If somebody went to our magazine right now, they can scan the QR code and they could talk to Veronica. Veronica's our digital sales assistant, and she will walk you through learning anything you want to know about our publication. That's super cool. Bro. It's super cool. Like the technology nowadays,
you have to implement it, man.
It's impressive what you can do now. Impressive.
That's amazing.
So you can imagine putting this on your business card, right? And you leave it behind, and then somebody scans it, or they could have a full blown conversation. They think they're talking to one of your sales assistants, Veronica, or whoever you want to, whatever their name is going to be, and they're learning everything they need to know about your business, how long you've been in business, testimonials, right? You could even have it trained to where it'll send, hey, here's a recent testimonial. And let's say they don't have, this is all by text. Let's say the conversation dies out. you can train it for a week later to send a text, say, hey,
just follow up.
Want to follow back up and see if you had any more questions about Pride, flooring.
Yeah.
Want to see if I can help you answer anything. Or get you in a phone call with our owner.
That's awesome.
The technology nowadays is pretty impressive,
man.
Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah. It's very impressive.
Yeah, AI is definitely taking over a lot of even just the marketing, strategies too.
Yes.
It's amazing because that's part of the growth. When you talk about hiring actual people, you have to incorporate the artificial intelligence also into the
and
mix.
we do. That's another thing that we've learned. You definitely we get a lot of resumes, but a lot of times we don't even really need to read the resume. We could ask for a video from somebody, and that video will tell us more than a resume will ever tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That one little thing changed. It completely revolutionized our hiring process.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 people that we hired went through a 2-month hiring process.
Really?
2 months.
Wow.
And they stayed in the mix for 2 months. We actually had probably 4 or 5 that stayed in the mix all the way up to that point.
It tells you how dedicated they are too, or willing to kind of go through that process to work for you too.
And that's what you want.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
That's what you want. You want somebody that's willing to kind of, go through that process.
Yeah.
So it's powerful.
So what keeps you going, man? You still staying healthy? You doing your Ironmans?
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of training. I've been in a maintenance mode. I call it maintenance mode, where I'm just kind of like, I get up, do what I feel, ride a bike, run. I did a 6-mile run this weekend, which was good. It's probably my longest run in a while. But I had a triathlon in May. I did Chattanooga, the half Ironman, and then I have another one in December 8th. I'm doing the desert Indian Wells half Ironman.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that keeps me going. Then, of course, my son and, I'm reading Proverbs today, Proverbs 4 about how we need to be mentors. We need to
we got to train our children.
We got to train our children.
Yeah.
And this summer we had like this whole thing where I had him read for every day of the month of July a proverb.
A chapter,
one of the chapters for every day.
That's the best book to start them off with, man.
So
just
good.
one a day, and there's 31 chapters, right?
31 chapters.
Yeah, that's good.
It was amazing, and today was just realizing that as men we've got to pass on the wisdom that we've learned.
For sure.
And this was one way we could do it, right? Like this podcast, I really appreciate you inviting me to come on this with you. It's a blessing to be able to share the wisdom that God has given me, and to know that our job is to keep sharing this wisdom, keep telling other people about how we've been blessed.
Part of why I started this too is just to have something out in the ether forever that my kids can refer to back one day down the road. They, for the most part, sometimes they'll watch or listen and put some bad comments, but not kidding. They'll put some comments on there, but it's just that was part of it too, is just to kind of share some of the experiences that I've had on here. Trying to be as transparent as possible. Of course, they know who Dad is, but maybe they hear something that they hadn't heard before, or they can, just refer to down the road. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh man, big time. I got one thing that I did with my son is he came on my show. He was probably 8 or 9. Oh, really? His friends still talk about that show. I'm not kidding you. It was during COVID. It was during COVID. And this had to be, well, maybe it wasn't during COVID. Maybe it was just before. Yeah, it was just before COVID. Anyway, so I did a full-blown interview with him. It's hysterical. Now his friends are like, hey, when are you going to have him back on? And I mentioned it in an episode with somebody.
It's kind of a cooler thing now, right? The
they
podcast.
love it. Yeah. So what I would say is have your son interview you.
Oh, okay.
Flip it around and say, hey, you interview me and be on the podcast. And because think about what that'll mean 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Yeah. So Enzo's coming on my show. That's nice. The goal, is to get him on my show in the next couple of weeks.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's TM3 Impact.
TM3 Impact.
TM3, the number 3 Impact. Yeah, Tomas Martinez the third. Yeah. TM3 Impact. You can find it on Spotify. We have YouTube, the whole nine. Nice. I've got some pretty cool interviews that I'm really proud of. We've got some really cool interviews.
Give me some feedback, man. What's the best thing? I just started doing this. So what do you recommend, or any suggestions, or what I can do to
do as many as possible? Just keep doing it. Yeah, just keep doing it, and don't don't worry about the clicks, the likes, the shares. Don't worry about the views. Don't worry about the numbers. My firm opinion is I have the Gary Vee mindset is 1 is greater than 0. So there's going to be one person that hears it and is going to be like, dang, this is really good. That's a really good interview. And there's always going to be one person that listens to it, right? So I would highly just keep going, keep pushing, keep doing more, and just inviting people to come on the show with you. Just don't stop.
Yeah,
that's the biggest lesson that I've learned is I've stopped. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I haven't had as many this year as I wanted to. Yeah. But it's so fun just this alone.
You just gotta
I enjoy it.
Up the time. Sometimes that was one of my things is like you get kind of burned out because you're busy. You got to do your work still. And you know, my wife's like, "Well, take a break." It's like, I don't know if I just want to kind of be somewhat consistent with it. But and then the other thing is like, well, how many guys do I know eventually? It's like, well, maybe I need to kind of get my first guy back on. But no, I mean, there's a pool of people that you know, and you want to get people that have that experience that they can share with others, to your point. And it has been fun, man. It has been really cool. And I know that I've grown. This is probably going to be the 20th one.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and so from day one to now, I mean, literally day one, we turn it on and we're like, okay, this is pretty cool. Like I was still kind of in awe, and I still am, but still trying to learn, still trying to figure it out.
I would call people up and just say, hey, I want you to be on the show. Let's plan it in advance and just start planning them in advance.
Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to me, man. It's like, I know kind of just social media has been one of those things I've been trying to press also and kind of push more to get your name out there, your face out there, which is part of the challenge because, you know, a lot of times you get sometimes you're private and you don't want to like share as much, but as far as a branding effort from a business standpoint, people got to know your personal side also. You got to just be out there and expose yourself. And I was sharing this with someone the other day. They were like, you know, some of the clients that I've been meeting with here more lately are like, hey, I've been following you on social media. I was like, shit. I was like, did I do anything stupid? I just came back from Vegas too. I was like, no camera, no video. No, I'm kidding. No, I try not to ever do anything too stupid, but I mean, I try to be myself, but at the end of the day, just try to take care of people and connect people and
and that's the big thing, right? It's the connection. Like this, to me, the podcast really is a connector because you may sit across. A lot of the people that I interview, I know. You know what I mean? And then there's some I don't know at all. Right. So I've had some really interesting interviews. A gentleman that had 7 combat tours. You know what I mean? And he's a surgeon. And he created this crazy device that is a life-saving device that will basically hold the body up open so that you could do a surgery on the combat field. On the battlefield? Wow. On the battlefield. And he created this device. He's the seller of the device. Wow. He's the trainer with the device. Like, it was an amazing interview. Cisterno. And Dr. Cisterno. And anyway, so those kind of conversations are so cool. I have another gentleman that's a plastic surgeon in my magazine. He does microsurgery, where he does surgery for women that have had to have surgery from cancer. He goes in there and he does the microsurgery, like putting together blood vessels. Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, so it's so cool talking to people smarter than you. I love that.
Oh,
you know
for sure.
Like,
for sure.
I was like, I need to be around you more just so I can feel smarter. You know what I mean about myself.
It kind of gets overwhelming too sometimes.
But I love it.
Do you target mostly just different
business owners, people? I've had authors. I had a young lady that she's a book author. It was that super cool conversation about addiction and what addiction did to her life and how she was able to overcome it. Wow. Powerful conversation.
Those are the cool stories.
I had a young lady that was she lost, I think it was like 100 pounds, became a fitness trainer and started this whole community in her neighborhood about losing weight. I found her during COVID. They wrote an article about it. She was in the top articles on Apple. Wow. And I found her and I was like, San Antonio, Helen, I literally messaged her and I said, I want you to be on my podcast. And we ended up becoming friends from that.
Man.
So I'll look for different inspiring stories.
That's so funny because I think doing this now has actually opened my ears and eyes more to chat with people.
Yes.
And even clients that I have that are business owners. But these are just things that I start picking up on where I start asking questions like, hey, how did you get started with this? And I've shared a couple already, but like one of the ones that I met was a guy that owns the pickleball giant store.
Okay. Yeah.
And his name is Robert Wood. And
okay.
he's going to come on maybe in another few weeks or a month.
Cool.
So he's kind of a busy little season right now. But he's got a really cool story about how he started that, but also how he got into, he was in the sporting goods world and he got Academy into the sporting goods world. So he's got a really cool story. But the funny thing is, my point is like when I went to visit him, I went to go visit him to measure for some carpeting, right? And I'm standing in this big little like retail store that he's working on. And I had my tape measure, I had my clipboard, and I asked him, I said, hey, how'd you get into this? And it turned into like a 20, 25-minute conversation where he would just start sharing. And a lot of people want to share the story. They want to share kind of how they got started in business. And it's just a matter of asking. But what doing this has taught me anyway, is just to start asking people things like that. Because you think you don't know as many people as you actually do, but you do know a lot of people.
You know a lot of people.
Yeah, man. And so it's been cool. It's been a blessing. Yeah. And I know you got it going, Tomas, man. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your wisdom. And
thank you for the opportunity.
Just super sharp guy and dressed for success. Like always, I feel like I need to start getting a suit.
Well, here's the full disclosure. The wife is like, if you're going anywhere in front of people, I have to be in a suit now.
Really?
She's like, you got to be in a suit now.
Nice.
And I was just like, I don't want to wear a suit. Because when I first started Luxury Magazine, I was in a suit every single day when I first started, right? Yeah. And that was great. And then I went to this, I'm a athletic golfer, owner, My wife was like, nope, you got to wear a suit. But you know what? What I've recognized is when I do wear a suit, it has definitely changed even the conversations I have, right? Like it up levels every conversation. If I go somewhere, people are like, okay, what do you do? You know what I mean? Like because San Antonio, they don't super dress up. Right. You know what I mean? And not everybody, dresses up a ton. But she's right. I need to wear my suit more. So I'm going to Miami tomorrow, and I'm buying more suits.
Are you really?
I need to get some more suits.
Nice.
Yeah, because they sell these athletic ones that are super light. Okay. Like this is a Brooks Brothers. It's very heavy. It's hot. Yeah. But they have some ones over there that are leisure, and they're it's like a sport type suit. To where you could like fold it up, throw it in a suitcase, and it pops out. So that's what I want to get a couple of those. So you'll see some new suits when I get back.
I'm excited to hear how that goes, man. Good luck with that, brother.
Yes, thank you.
And listen, if someone asks if I know of anybody that has a badass publication like Luxury Home Magazine, I'll definitely say I know.
Please, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Good to see you, brother.
Thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Yes, sir.